you would have read this thumbnail, you would have known that I am discussing a issue in the community: toxic players and crazy market stand prices. Now, what if I were to tell you that this is actually not a big problem whatsoever? You may be confused, and totally understandable, you are confused. But it may seem to you that this is a big problem, but I'm here to tell you that it actually is not a big problem. So I'm here to discuss about how to ignore these little problems, how to make it not seem so big, and how to move on and how to deal with it. So let's start off with the toxic players and the crazy market stand prices. If you've been in the game for the past while, you've made notice like, hey, I've been dealing with a lot of toxic players lately, I've been dealing with crazy market stand prices, this is so annoying. What if I were to tell you that actually is not the case? Now, if you have a positive mindset, then you probably don't even notice this as a big issue whatsoever. You're just able to oversee it and just ignore it. But for people like me that like to hone in onto the negative things, or like to just look at things that are not normal in my everyday life, then you probably have a little bit more of a harder time with this. Now for me, it feels like I've been dealing with toxic players and with crazy market stand prices, but I actually have not been dealing with that. So, may sound confusing, but for example, accessories. I had to deal with some toxic players the other day, and look, I was able to get all of this stuff for normal prices. I had to deal with one person that was overpaying, and they were really rude to me. But I got all of this stuff, not all of it, some of it was turn-ins, but this stuff, I bought that yesterday. I also bought this yesterday for normal, reasonable prices, and they're good materials. Now I bring this up because I actually did have to deal with toxic players and overpriced market stands the other day, and it was really irritating to me. I was like, why is this game just filled with so many toxic players? Because I've had a few experiences now, but I have to look at the big picture and realize, wait a second, that's actually not a lot. Because what happens is you're so used to all these bad things, so you're so used to all of these bad things happening that you don't even realize the good stuff that's happening. Because the good stuff has become normal now. You don't even realize, hey, this was a pretty good experience. I got to meet someone nice, I traded with them, I bought things from the market, they were pretty nice. That becomes normal. You don't even pick that up anymore. You don't realize, hey, this was actually a pretty good experience, because you just hone in onto the negative things, or negative aspects, because that isn't normal. That doesn't happen a lot for you. So you see it as some big thing, when it really is not that big thing. That happens to me all the time. Where, I'll have a negative experience, I'll be like, why is it so bad? But then I'll look back and be like, hey, all these normal experiences I had, these good ones, I completely went over and didn't even acknowledge them. They did happen, and I have had really good experiences on this game. So you gotta get used to this more positive mindset. Now I'm gonna talk about how to fix this problem for yourself, and how to not make this a longer experience. So what I mean by that is how to deal with it in the present. So now that you've probably realized that, hey, this is a big problem, I'm teaching you how to go forward and how to not get so much of a reaction out of this stuff. So first up, we're talking about insane market prices. So if you see some of the same prices, just ignore it, be like, oh, that's really crazy. Even if you want the item, just don't get it. If you have a certain budget going on, just don't go over the budget and just ignore that completely. Don't try to get this person and be like, you should change your prices. That only starts an argument, and that will make it even worse experience, because at the end of the day, it's a person's market. They can put whatever price they want to get put on their stuff. You can't really argue that. So if it's a price that you don't want, just leave the person alone, just go to the next market and completely forget about it. Because it's their market, they can put whatever price they want to, and it could just involve a crazy argument and you won't get the thing at the end of the day. Now, to deal with toxic players. Now this one, it's a little bit harder. I will admit, I have been getting into fights. Not crazy a lot, but every once in a while, a toxic player will really get under my skin, and I will just flip out, reasonably. But yeah, I have gotten into arguments with toxic players before, and ever since I started looking at it from a different standpoint, it doesn't really happen. So, what these toxic players are, I'm going to use a term that you may not know, but you may be familiar with, is rage bait. So, essentially what they try to do is they try to make you angry by baiting you, and once you take the bait, you'll rage out at them, and they'll get entertainment out of it, and they'll try to make it into this whole spectacle that, oh my gosh, you're the child, you're a terrible person, by trying to get you to rage. That is rage bait, because you took onto their bait, and you started raging, and they just get joy out of it, or they get like some benefit from it. Now I'm teaching you how to avoid that and how to be the bigger person in the situation. First, if they are being mean to you or they're trying to bait you, just ignore it, be the bigger person, leave. Leave the server or leave the island that they're on, just completely ignore them. You can even block people in this game, so I can't get the buttons here because it's myself, I can't really block myself. But if a player is, say, harassing you, or is fighting with you, or trying to get you to hook onto this rage bait, just block them and their text will not show up for you any longer. Like they may physically be following you around the game, but you can't see anything that they're saying, so it makes it a little bit easier. So I totally suggest doing that, and reporting them for their toxic behavior, because, let's just be real, Roblox doesn't really tolerate this stuff, so hopefully if they get enough reports on this person that they will be blocked, and you won't have to deal with the rage bait anymore. Another thing is how they try to get you to rage. There are multiple ways. They might try to get under your skin, they might try to get you to flip out, and I am here to tell you how to avoid that by showing you some of the signs. So, first up, flexing. They might try to flex on you, they may try to take out their better horses, and be like, hey, like, you don't have this. Or it could be a response for you not doing something that they wanted you to do. For example, you have something that's not for trade, they'll go up to you like, hey, is this for trade? And I say, no, it's not, and then they proceed to try to flex on you, showing new things that they probably would never even offer for this horse, but they want to make you think that, hey, like, you're gonna offer this horse. Just ignore it. If they continue, block them, and just ignore what they're saying, because they want you to flip out. Like, that is, like, their whole entire goal. Another thing, hypocrisy, or being a hypocrite. So basically, you'll be doing something and they'll be doing the same thing, but they try to call you out on it, when even though you're both doing the same thing, they try to make it that you're wrong, and of course that will elicit a reaction in you. You'll want to fight back, saying like, hey, weren't you just doing it? And they'll go the whole like she said, he said, and it will just enrage in an argument, and they will enjoy it. That way you took the bait and you flipped out. So if they're trying to call you out for doing something that they did, just completely ignore it. It's no point to the fighting, because they just want to get more of a reaction out of you. If I'm being entirely honest, I fell for this the other day, where someone was trying to be a hypocrite and saying that I was doing something when they started doing it first, so then I started doing it, and it was with bidding. I was doing, like, they were doing one-up bids, so then I started doing it, and then they tried to call me a hypocrite, and then, of course, there was a little bit of an argument. So that is what you should not do in that situation. What you should do is just be the bigger person, block them, and leave. I eventually did end up leaving like after a minute or two, and I'm just like, this is a waste of my time, and this is rage bait. So I stopped interacting, I left, and eventually it stopped. So that is what you should do. You should just leave, you should just block them, and that won't be a big of a problem. Another one is insults. They'll try to insult you, you just have to ignore it, because at the end of the day, it's just the copy and paste ones. So if you've ever seen a middle school fight, or like an elementary school fight, how like the kids will say the copy and paste phrases at each other, and like they'll be like insults, basically that's what I'm talking about. Like they'll try to do that. By the end of the day, you just have to ignore it, block them, and just leave. Because there is no thought process behind it. You may be like, oh, that's really mean, like why would they say that about me? When really it's not about you, it's just in their little copy and paste dialogue. They probably have like a Google Docs, highlight it, copy it, paste it in the chat, and try to get a reaction. So it's just like little stuff like that. You just have to think about yourself, like, hey, like, I'm better than this, I'm going to ignore this, and I'm going to continue on. That is how you stop these rage baiters from getting to you, and that is how you make a more positive experience whole. And I understand that it will be hard sometimes, but you have to stay calm and keep thinking like, hey, like I am better than this, I am not going to fight with these people. You just have to keep pushing forward, and you just have to keep doing that. But that is basically how you deal with that. Positive mindset. Just look at all the positive experiences you've had on this game, and don't look at the negative ones. Just keep looking at the positive, and just continue on with your day. Maybe make a tag set, maybe go hunt for some horses. maybe go create some more stuff for your horses, maybe go shopping, maybe hang out with friends. So that is some things that you can do to keep a positive mindset, and I hope this video helps you all, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!